Batman of the DCU. What do I want from this character and this universe? For starters, I just want to see classic Batman again. I want to see this Batman in a fantastical setting and environment, having giant boss level looking fights like Killer Croc or even Clayface, even the jacked Bane from the 2004 Batman. Before you go to the comments talking about how I don't know shit about Batman, I'm just talking about his size. Not the costume, not his backstory, nothing like that, just solely the size and build of him. I want to see the giant juiced Bane. Love Tom Hardy as Bane, but that is obviously a very rounded and realistic version of the character. One thing that I feel like's been missing a lot is Batman using his grappling gun and batarangs more. I can count on two hands in the last 15 years how many times we've seen Batman actually use his batarang and or grappling gun. These are key character traits. We need to bring these back and just let him have fun with it. I'm also talking about live action, not animation. Animation uses it like crazy, and so do the games because it's fucking cool. And that's a Batman. But because of the sake of groundedness or realism, unfortunately, we don't get to see it as much, and that is something that I want to see changed in the DCU. I want to see Batman zipping around with his fucking glider, shooting his grappling gun up in the air, grabbing his plane, and flying away just to aura farm on Superman and Lois Lane. I want to see Batman moving like a fucking demon, because at this point, Daredevil has moved more like Batman than Batman has, which is crazy. I want to get back to those roots. I can already hear the comments. Well, they're going to need to use CGI, it's look like trash. I don't give a fuck. If they don't want to do it practically, that's fine. Use CGI. Whatever this kind of CGI is, where it just looks off, there's something about it, the uncanny valleyness. Whatever we're doing here with this, we have to stop. I feel like there's so many ways to make this look better than it does, and you just haven't explored it. It's the same thing with Spider-Man swinging. Thank God that Dustin Daniel Cretton is in charge of Spider-Man 4. And Batman's grappling gun, it feels like it's getting used less and less, especially in live action. Once again, animation takes this home. They have the keys to the kingdom. While we're already on the topic of Batman using his grappling gun and batarangs, let's talk about gadgets. I want to see Batman going into his tool belt and pulling out these gadgets that we haven't seen before or need to be reintroduced to us fans. Look at the Arkham games. I know it's a game and there's so many different things that go along with that, but we see Batman using his gadgets. Same thing in Batman, the animated series. Even the Batman 2004. I feel like Batman has used his utility belt less and less as time has gone on, so much so to the fact that he doesn't even have a utility belt in the Snyderverse. So we need to get back to that ASAP. I want to see this man pull out a retinal scanner. I want to see Batman recreate these crime scenes in real time. But I don't want them to go too far with it like they did in the Arkham games. I feel like it kind of takes away from Batman being the detective, which leads to my segue. Batman needs to get back to being the world's greatest detective. As time has gone on, less and less, we have seen Batman use his actual detective skills, and more so just use his brute strength, which I love. I love seeing Batman being the brooding brawler that we all know him to be, but he also has to be smart. And thankfully, Matt Reeves tapped into that with the Batman and Robert Pattinson. I love that they did that. I just want more of it, because that's who Batman is. He is always the smartest man in the room, no matter what. And that's what I want to see from this old, grizzled Batman of the DCU. We already know that the Bat family is going to be fully established and that Damian Wayne is going to be his Robin, his mother being Talia al Ghul. So let's see that. Let's see Batman being as smart as possible while raising Damian and trying to train him. I want to see Batman training with Damian. When's the last time we got an actual Batman training sequence or training montage of him just in the Batcave getting ready? I can tell you right now, I think it would be The Dark Knight Rises. But even if you want to count BVS, The Dark Knight Rises. I want to see Batman hitting the fucking bags, almost like the Danger Room from X-Men. I want to see Batman training his son to be the best Robin he possibly can. And one of the best places to do that would be in the Batcave. When was the last time we got a fantastical looking Batcave? To me, The Flash. But even then, go back to BVS. Look at that Batcave. That was a penthouse in the basement, but it had a very Arkham-style door. I want to see the giant penny. I want to see the T-Rex. I want to see the Joker card up on the wall. Have the Batwing hanging down from the ceiling. Have the Batboat in the water ready for deployment. The giant Bat computer. Where has this been? Guys, I didn't know that we've wanted this realistic grounded Batman for a while now. But come on, we're missing so many of this character's key traits and details to the point where people don't even remember or know that Batman had those things in the past. Say what you will about Gotham Knights, I have my own very strong opinions about it. But one thing that they did great was giving us this Batcave. I mean, look at it. It has everything that I would want to see from the DCU Batcave, maybe minus a couple of things, but even then, it's almost perfect. Let's see it. I want to see his giant feats. Yeah, it might be campy, it might be cheesy, but that is also part of Batman. Batman can be serious, but he can have a little bit of fun to him. This Batman being around long enough to have a fully established Bat family means that he has to have been active for at least 10 years at minimum. He's going to have a fully established rogues gallery of villains at this point. At least he should. If not, that's even more of a concern. I want to see this rogues gallery being fully active in Gotham. Batman being stretched so thin every night between these fights with these gangs, these rogues gallery villains, their goons, their henchmen. Let's get back to that. And a great way to do that is through scores and themes in the film. Take the Danny Elfman Batman theme. This to me is just as iconic, if not more iconic, than John Williams' Superman theme. You know, the one that was just used in James Gunn's Superman. I get goosebumps every single time I listen to the soundtrack, even though I've seen the movie over 13 times. I still get goosebumps like I'm sitting in that theater for the first experience because of that score. When that score comes on, it makes me feel something, and I know it makes others feel that way too. Danny Elfman, bring him back, why not? That classic Batman score is so iconic. I'm glad that they even brought it back for the Batman with Michael Giacchino. That was perfect. Do it again, but more. And if they were able to bring back John Williams' theme for Superman and use it in the film, you can do it with Batman. If Supes has it, Batman's gotta have it. And that leads me into the costume with the trunks. Because Supes has his trunks, I would prefer Batman to have trunks. Now, not everyone's going to, and I know I'm gonna lose some of you there, and that's fine. This is my version of Batman and what I'm liking, but I'd honestly like to hear what you want your Batman to look like suit-wise. But I'm gonna give you a list of what I want to see from the Batman. Any of these things can be changed, but I do think that I have a good idea of what majority of people want to see. That being, I want Batman to have the blue suit. Batman better have the white eyes. There are ways to make this work. There are very great ways to make this work. Batman the Animated Series made it work, and that's our way into it. That's how we make this work. Now, we did see a blue and gray Batsuit in The Flash, but to be honest, this wasn't even the full version of the costume. It was actually black and gray. This is what the costume was supposed to look like. I don't know how it came to this. I'm glad that we got our first version of the blue and yellow and gray in live action, but it's not where it needs to be. It needs to be better than this. And here's the workaround. When Batman is in the shadows, it should look black. When Batman is in the shadows trying to be intimidating, he better have the white eyes. It doesn't have to be a bright blue, it could be a navy, but I want Batman's costume to have blue in it, to where when light hits it and reflects off of it, you can see the blue in it. But when he's in the shadows, in the dark, he is the night. He is Batman. He is vengeance. He has to be that black, scary, mysterious-looking figure, that creature of the night, but we can still have it be blue. Use shadows, use shading to hide the blue at night, and when light hits him like a spotlight or a flashlight, let it be blue. And that goes to the utility belt. It's gotta be yellow, right? It could be a duller yellow, it could be a brighter yellow, that doesn't really matter to me. I would just prefer it to be yellow. Gold kind of works too, but again, it's all up to the costume designer how they make it work. And leading into that persona of being the knight, his cape. That thing better drape all the way around him and even go onto the floor. I want to see Batman be able to fully engulf himself and someone else in that cape and make his silhouette look bigger than life with that cape. And that'll bring me to the cowl. Everyone's always going to say, Batman white eyes, I am too. There are multiple ways to make this work because I know people are going to say it looks cheesy and goofy. Deadpool Wolverine just did it with Wolverine. Look at his cowl. It works so well. There are ways to do this that make it work even if you don't like this version of it. In Spider-Man Homecoming and in Endgame, when Peter activates instant kill, it switches. We could have something like that, where Batman uses interrogation mode or intimidation mode or something like that, and the white lenses come down or the white lenses turn on and you can't see his eyes. And when he doesn't use that mode, let him have the black eye makeup. Another way of doing this would be like lenses, which, again, it's the Flash, but look at this opening, how those lenses drop down. We could do that a little bit faster with the fully white eyes and make it work, or we could just go the Deadpool Wolverine route and have him already in the costume. Either way, we gotta have the white eyes. While we're already on the topic of the cowl, let's look at how Wolverine puts his cowl on. Now, if that isn't Batman-esque, I don't know what is. This is ripped straight from Batman the Animated Series, as well as the Batman and countless other properties. Let's do this with Batman's cowl. If we can do it with Wolverine and make it work and make it look functional, we can do it with Batman. This was amazing to see, and honestly, I feel like it was kind of a prototype for the VFX artists and the costume designers on how to do the DCU Batman moving forward, because all those teams work together. So let's get it with Batman. And that leads to the ears. I really like Frank Miller's take with the short ears, but he also kind of looks like Black Panther. So let's have the long ears, and not go too long with it either. I don't want to have like Clooney ears. I think Clooney and Kilmer have the longest ears out of all of them. I want to see him have his normal length ears. This might be where I lose some people as well, and that's fine, but I want to get back to having the classic suit-up scenes. I know it might be cheesy, it might be kiddish and childish, whatever. I grew up with it, and almost every single Batman that I watched growing up, movies, TV shows, games, there were multiple suit-up scenes, and it was awesome, and I want to get back to that. Let's have the classic Batman suit-up scene. It's part of the character, it gets us ready to experience Gotham, and I feel like we need to bring it back. But we can leave the bat nipples in the past. And I know I haven't mentioned this yet, and that's because I really don't have a preference, or honestly kind of care. And that's the Batmobile. I just want it to be cool. I don't want it to be an actual tank, though. I like the Tumbler, but after that, Arkham Knight and the Slenderverse, I'm kind of just done with Batman having these tank-looking Batmobiles. Just stop making it a giant beefy tank. I want it to be sleek and cool, like Robert Pattinson's in the Batman, for example. Let's get back to that version of the Batmobile, and I'll be happy. So, we've talked about Batman, we've talked about the Batcave, the Batsuit. Let's talk about Gotham City. We already know it's going to be fully established in the DCU. It is not in New York. DCU doesn't have it in New York. I want this Gotham to be back to looking, well, Gothic. We saw glimpses of it in Creature Commandos with the one episode of Dr. Phosphorus, as well as Cersei's apocalyptic future. I want more of that Gotham. Give us the gargoyles. Give us the Gotham in Batman, the animated series, or even part of the Schumacher films. I know what you're going to say. Just trust the process. What Burton had did with Gotham and what Schumacher had added to it. Yes, it was campy, it was over the top, it was outrageous. We can tone that back a little bit, but the scale of that city, how it works, that's Gotham. Let's get back to that. I love shooting on location, shooting practically, but let's stop turning Chicago into Gotham or New York City. New York City and Chicago, Glasgow, they have been used so much as of recently to the point where everything feels the same. I don't want Gotham to feel that way. This is a fictional city in a fictional universe from a fictional character. Let's make it feel that way. I don't want it to feel like I just drove 2 hours to downtown Chicago and I can see everything. No, I want to be transported into that place, and Metropolis did that in the DCU with Superman. It felt like my first version of Superman that I saw, a 1940s serial cartoon, or even Metropolis from Superman the animated series. That Metropolis was taken and transported into the DCU. Let's get that with Gotham as well. And you can't have Gotham without his biggest socialite, Bruce Wayne. If you're going to do Bruce Wayne and you're going to have him be the socialite, let's go all the way. Have him land a helicopter on the roof and walk out with 3 beautiful women and then swim in the fucking pool. Let Bruce Wayne be a little more unruly than that if you're going to have him be that character. Let's get that Bruce Wayne back to where we're hiding Batman's identity with how outrageous Bruce is. I don't really have a whole lot on Bruce Wayne just because, to be honest, I feel like it's very easy to nail Bruce. Maybe it's because of watching Gotham. I like Bruce Wayne as a character, but I'm just tired of his story. I want to see Batman more than I want to see Bruce. And that's one of the great things that was amazing about Matt Reeves' take on the Batman. We got to see more of Batman than Bruce, whereas I feel like that works more with this character versus someone like Superman, where one of my complaints about the movie was that we didn't really get to see Clark all that much. We got one full scene with him as Clark Kent. Not as Clark Kent and Superman, but as Clark Kent. I want to see more of that. Because I've been doing a whole bunch of I want this, I want that, I want this, that, and so. I want to tell you a couple things that I don't want, and that being a grounded and gritty Batman. He can still be gritty and grounded while being fantastical at the same time. Don't trade one for the other. There are ways to make it work for both of them, but again, just don't try and choose one over the other. Make it work together cohesively because that is Batman. That's what the animated series had shown us, as well as the Arkham games. One thing that's great about James Gunn's Superman is that they left the origin story behind. We've seen it before. Same thing with Spider-Man and Spider-Man Homecoming. We've seen the origin story. We know how Batman becomes Batman. We know what happens to Bruce's parents outside of the theater. Let's get past it. You can mention it, but let's get past it. We don't need to dwell on it. We don't need to see it again. We've seen it in literally almost every single live-action take on Batman. Everybody gets it. Everybody knows it by now. So let's not dwell on it any longer. Now, he also has to be old enough, though, to where he can have a kid, but young enough to where he can still fit in with the Justice League members, but old enough to where he's already had previous Robins before. I feel like if we do a new Robin every single year, that would kind of be a little too quick of a turnaround. I'd think like every 3-ish years maybe, but even then, it's entirely up to the writers on that. I just want this Batman to fit that age range. I'm thinking of like 33 to 35 maybe. He started when he was in his 20s. Who knows? When mentioning events or history, show us. This is one thing I love greatly in Creature Commandos is that they show us these events. They're not explicitly said, but we get flashbacks. We don't necessarily have to get flashbacks. I would love to have flashbacks. If you mention Batman fighting the Joker on a rooftop, I want to see that. If you mention Batman having this big-ass fight with Clayface that destroyed a bunch of stuff, I want to see that. If you talk about Batman having to fight Mr. Freeze and use this cold suit, let's see it. Don't just tell us things, show us these things. I want to see everything. While we have the time, let's make it count. We need that more now than ever. Especially with Warner Brothers trying to sell. I don't know if the DCU will get past the next 5 years. Here's a chance to not repeat the same mistakes all over again. Just because, how can I mention Batman without mentioning the Joker? Let's let the Joker be the clown prince of crime again. It's crazy that the last time we got a full, almost comic accurate looking Joker was Jack Nicholson. The first time we had a full live action Batman movie, not the show from the 60s or the movie that came with it, I'm not counting that. And you can even make the clown costume work into his craziness, his persona, like Pennywise. And with the Joker, I don't want to see him in the first movie, or maybe even the second movie. I would still like to see him, but don't tease or hint at him. Either show him fully or don't show him at all. I'm tired of this, like dangling the keys in front of your face. Show me or don't show me. It goes back to what I just said. We need to see more and not be told more. Stop setting him up for things. I would like for the Joker to be a character that comes back every few years and has a little arc, does a little thing, and then goes away, and Batman has these other villains. His rogues gallery that he has to handle. Let's see that. We can start the movie off with the Joker already being incarcerated from an event and then show us that event. Again, a good example of this is Joker in the Batman and the Animated Series. He roughly shows up every 20-ish episodes. And now I am being like a little like in either which way, but you get the gist. He's not in every episode. He's not in everything. He's here and there, and so are his Rogues Gallery villains. Let's get to those. Now, I already know I mentioned Killer Croc earlier, but I have a few ideas. Now, not everyone's gonna agree with them, not everyone's like him, that's fine. But what I don't want is this. I love the height difference we have here. The fact that Deadshot is bigger than Killer Croc is kind of crazy. This is supposed to be a guy that eats people, and he's smaller than Will Smith. I will say the makeup looks great, though. The makeup looks great, the actor was great, but let's get a giant Killer Croc. Just don't make him look like the Lizard. It's very easy to not make him look like the Lizard. The Arkham games did this perfectly. Let's get that size, that brute, but just don't make him white and don't make him a human. Yeah, he's still human, but give him more of those fantastical traits. Give us the giant tail. Just don't make him look like the Lizard. And it's very easy to not do that. He's a crocodile, not a lizard. The fact that I'm even having to say that is kind of crazy, but we have to get through that. But with that though, we have a lot of confirmed things for the DCU Batman, which is great. The Brave and the Bold is the title. Batman the Brave and the Bold. I don't know about you, but I used to watch the show growing up, and this is not going to be taking from that. Although the show, it was cool. I liked the intro a lot, as well as the Batman intro. Who doesn't? Batman the Animated Series, they all have great intros. It's not going to be adapting that story, as far as we know anyway. It's mainly going to be with Batman and Damian Wayne being his son and the current active Robin. We already know that there's going to be a dynamic duo animated show with Red Hood and Nightwing as the leads, so they're already established in this universe. And the Brave and the Bold story is going to be based on Grant Morrison's run. James Gunn himself says in the Gods and Monsters video that this is the beginning of the Bat family in the DCU. Let's get into that. I want to see it. Speaking of it and The Flash, Andy Muschietti is currently set as the director of the film. We haven't heard anything on that in almost 3 years now, so I don't think that that's still the case, just because he hasn't shown really anything towards that. Of course, while in the middle of recording this, some more news came out about The Brave and the Bold, and Andy Muschietti is still attached to be the director of the film, and that he knows about the writer, and that he is really interested in the story, and that it's coming out in 2028. And that's really about it. They're not going to be going into production next year with the Batman Part 2 going into production. Still not a huge update, but I guess it's something. And his exit has also been rumored. So for who's directing it, I don't know. But honestly, if James Gunn does it, I just don't want his humor in it. Now, there's going to be it here and there, and his humor does work for a lot of things. Peacemaker's great. It worked in Superman. At times, it was a little, like, unneeded. But whoever handles this Batman has to do it right. And I think James knows that, and I don't know if Muschietti is the way to do it. I love the It films. There are some parts about The Flash that I like and parts that I hate, but I just don't know if he's able to fully encapsulate and engulf what Batman needs to be. And the only person I feel like that can do that currently for what is trying to be told in DCU would be James. I don't know if he can. I don't know if he should direct it. Who would you like to see direct the DCU Batman? Let me know in the comments down below. But with that being said, Batman in the DCU is going to be huge when it comes out. I know that people want Robert Pattinson and the Merger Bros, but I don't think it's going to be happening. They've said multiple times it's not. So the DC Batman is coming. If you notice, I didn't mention any fan casts in this, and that's because I've had them in the past. There are so many out there. At this point, with David Corn's threat, I'd rather just be surprised. I don't care who it is. I just want them to be good. And whoever they pick, I know in my heart that they'll do it right. So with that being said, who do you want to see be the DC Batman? Let me know in the comments down below, as well as the suit, the director, etc. Let me know what you thought about this video. My name's McCaden, or Cantina Talk, and I will see you all in the next one. Little stars. I mean, hey, if you want to throw in a little bit extra there, let's have Batman have his fucking dogs. I mean, I got my boxer right here, Ozzy. So, like, let's have Batman have his dogs. You know, Terry McGinnis.